beep, beep. All right, is the mic on? Can you hear this? All right, you. All right, this is Wretch. Supposedly it's some sort of 10th anniversary stream. Well, F it. I'm just gonna sit here and insult you all. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, this is just gonna be another one of those basic live streams. I don't really have anything planned, just some more like Q&A, I suppose, but yeah, so 10 years of Engines of Sodor. Excuse me, I do have a Pingus, homie E2 and friends, and it's bigger than yours. Yeah, 10 years do fly by. Let's see, 2013. I just finished middle school. Like, just thinking how far a lot of things have come as far as like, well, first off, the trains community, that was back when, what was it, 2009? If I remember correctly, it was just right when it was like the 2009 era. It was just when they started making those especially soda. Sorry, I'm a bit congested. Soda Island 3D had just made those. It was like those models with that had the opportunity. It was. I'm trying to think of how to describe this, but they were like more metallic looking, and they had the option to like change the eyes. Yeah, that was the main thing. You'd go into the face textures and be like eyes right, eyes left, so forth, and someone's saying the fact that Wretch just has a horrid Lori face. It's funny you mentioned that because I was filming something yesterday. You'll see this later today, and God damn. Sorry. I was filming something yesterday, and since I have a new trains, I installed what was it, like the 2009 tanker pack again. And so when I first used those back in like 2013, there was something wrong with the script. So it only had the horrid Lori's face. It wouldn't change. Yet when I installed them in Trains 2019, the script was working. But then suddenly the horrid Lori face isn't there anymore. It's the actual intended tanker faces you'd see in season 4. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. It's yeah, because honestly, that era kind of made it better because it makes Wretch like his own character. Let's see. What was? Someone's just saying the old days of Thomas models, they were a pain. Uh, yeah. I mean, it depends on what aspect you're talking about. So I joined Trains when 2006 was kind of towards the transition from 2000. Yeah, it was 2006. Getting them installed back then, at least for me, as a kid on the internet and not knowing like what a content manager was, it was a huge pain. Like it took me almost a year to get Henry to show up, like all the dependencies and all this. I'll say this, the models were a lot simpler back then. They didn't require as much maintenance, I'll say that. But yeah, I was just thinking the other day of like the evolution of Thomas and Trains. What did it first? Does anyone know when it first started? Am I correct to assume around 2004? because there was MST Noodle, and I think there was someone before that who made a very, very basic trains model with like a 3D face. Yeah, okay, 2004. Yeah, so just my basic history. So it was him, the MST Noodle. I joined I started trains right when SI3D had just started. So this is like early 2009. I had been on trains before that, but I didn't know that these were things you had to download to install. And so, and then I think it was around 2010 they switched to 2009. Um, I always found it funny how they called it baked, like baked models. I thought that was always a funny term. Like, why are these models like getting high on something? But yeah, so and then I think it was only like 2 years later they started what they called the 2010 models. And yeah, those were like the ones where you can move the eyes and so forth. And those literally only lasted like less than 2 years. Then they started uploading the 2012 models, which were the 3D faces. And I remember when they first came out, I was really turned off because, well, first off, you didn't really have as much of a facial collection. Um, you remember in how the Diesel stole Christmas, I had Diesel like Time Lord regenerate into a newer model, but yeah, then the switch to like 2019. I don't know exactly when that was. It was kind of when I was ending the Engines of Sodor, so it was more 2018, yeah, it was around that time period. So yeah, someone should make a documentary about the history of trains with Thomas. I wanted to do something like that, but I don't know enough information. Like I wasn't there at the very beginning. I'm just gonna look at some of these questions. Oh, yeah, someone's mentioned T Crash Productions. Is there any way to pin these comments? Yeah, here we go. Anyways, one thing I hated is how they would purposely give you broken models. Yes, that was really annoying. And now, granted, back then I understand, with the technology, they were using pre-existing dependencies, so I can understand that. But what made me so mad was it'd be one thing if they did that, but gave you a link to the dependencies. Like those few trains or routes I released, I always tried to have a link or whatever. But then they'd give you some and say like, "Oh, go download it on the download station." But then you need like a first class ticket. You have to pay for it. Like I never got the what was it called? The chameleon livery system. That never worked until I upgraded to Trains 2010. So in the few videos I did make, I had to either do like photo editing or like Microsoft Paint to change the expressions. These are videos that never will see the light of the day. They were just like you saw some of them in my 10-year documentary. A lot of the footage is lost, but anyway. Um, Someone's asking if you can import trains into Train's iPad. I honestly have no idea. Correct me if I feel like I would get really turned off by trains on iPad. Just I'm not really a fan of using touch screens in general, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to import them, but okay, I'm gonna just start going through some of these questions. Have I seen any Hit Air episodes lately? Trying to think. I don't think I have. Actually, the last one I saw was Fish, the season 8 episode. And I mean, that was one of the few ones I saw as a child because it was on one of the last VHSs I ever got. So this would be like 2004, 2005. And yeah, honestly, I thought that episode was all right. Yeah, obviously, carrying fish like that is completely unhygienic, but I mean, I give that a little pass. Also, it was great seeing Arthur again. Um, Someone's asking me, will I do something for the 100th anniversary of Alfred's death? Um, Probably not. Well, that would be the 10th anniversary of NWR Origins. So if I do something, it wouldn't be like, a special or a new series. It would just be like kind of a tribute, I suppose. Yeah, also, I'm just warning you, I'll be coughing a lot. Yeah, I'm not sick. I was on a plane a few days ago, so I'm very much jet lagged, and for some reason, when I travel, I get really congested, especially after, and it was only a 4-hour flight, Chicago to SF, so that doesn't make any sense. It's only a 2-hour difference, but oftentimes when I travel, I drink so much caffeine, and then withdrawal of caffeine gives me effects of congestion. So if I sound, I'm not sick. I already had COVID last year. Had that and done that. Someone's asking, how did Croven become an original character to 87546? Honestly, this may sound lazy, but it was just me wanting to incorporate him further because after I had done that first episode, it was always hard to like, because he's like the governor of, he's basically like the Air Force One for Sodor. He's kind of a hard character to just have in regular situations. So I thought, might as well. He looks like 87546. Granted, I think if I did it again, I'd probably have it like maybe he's his brother or something. I don't know. But um do I have any news on the Smudger remake? Yeah, so I'm still trying to decide. Well, I've been doing some stop motion tests. So what I've been doing is I've been taking HO scale track and I've been doing stop motion, like with wooden railway on it. If you just film it, pushing it along, you may have seen that video I did for Haunted Henry. The trains just shake too much. I want to make something that's not doesn't look too toy-like, if you know what I mean. So in the end, I might just use wooden railway track again, but I was trying to make it as realistic as possible. But again, if you just push wooden railway along a HO scale track, they're quite shaky. So I've been doing like stop motion tests, and honestly, that might make well, not easier, but it would make it look a little more. Basically, bottom line is, I'm not gonna like stick to any deadline, but I'm hoping to at least get one part of it out by the end of the year. So like December 2023. I don't know if it'll be a mini series, just a regular movie or something, but yeah. Oh, I'm getting a lot of questions. Someone asked, "Have I been to Prague?" Yeah, I went about 6 years ago. So what I did was I went to Prague, and then I went to Vienna, and then Budapest afterwards. Kind of a three-way. Yeah, honestly, what I was really surprised with about Prague, and this was especially compared to Budapest, was yes, it was a an ex-communist city, but it was so clean, like so you couldn't there was hardly any evidence of like, communism, especially compared to Budapest, which is pretty, but it did have a lot of grunge to it, those tall apartment blocks. But yeah, I was really impressed by Prague. It was very much a historical looking city. I'd definitely love to go again. Have I ever been to a fine place for a sick engine? Actually, well, hold on, let me think about this. Yes, I've been on several trains that have been through Crewe. One time I had an unexpected layover in Crewe, more like 5 to 10 minutes, because one of my trains got canceled, and so I had to switch at Crewe. I've never been outside the station though, if that's what you're asking. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not. Seems like a decent place, Crewe. I'd like to. If someone's saying they'd like to go see Eastern Europe. Yeah, I've actually seen, yeah, I mean, I've been to Moscow and St. Petersburg. That's pretty much as Eastern as you can get. This was like 3 years, of course, this was like 3 years before the war, but, yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if I have any Russians in this chat. I'm glad I went. Even without all the current events, I don't think I'd go back to Russia. It was just a very bureaucratic country, but yeah, I was pretty impressed. Someone's asking if I've seen the Flying Scotsman in person. So that I'm not sure because I remember at the National Railway Museum in York, this was like 2011. I think I saw his wheels or something. They had like a yeah, wasn't he like was he being he was undergoing an overhaul, so I may have seen like his wheels or something, being worked on. Yeah. So I'll just answer the question I'm getting asked a lot straight up. What is my favorite and least favorite Engines of Sodor episodes? Yeah, they're pretty much the same as I've said before. Probably the favorite is the one with George. That's why I remade it recently. Again, I always love train crash, trains hitting things. It's a good example of that. Yeah. Um, hey, and least favorite. I've said my least favorite works, which is like how the Diesel stole Christmas. But as far as like actual episodes, honestly, I'm not really sure. Some of them, like the Mallard episode, I thought was really stupid and also stuck. But after I remastered those, not as much. So I think the Neil episode was a bit too extreme, like them going all the way to Somalia. I just thought that was a really too crazy idea. Also, this isn't a particular episode per se, but I've been rewatching some of the older ones, and the audio quality. My microphone has really bad problems with clipping, so what I might do is re-upload some of them, but with like either a new narration or better audio quality. Like especially the episode with Edward, last where Gordon gets stuck in this, the famous one. That's a brilliant episode, and I love it, but the audio quality just clipping everywhere. Also, the one with James and the gangsters. Again, which I think is an all right episode, but the audio quality, especially something about James's voice, it clips a lot. Like, because I've always tried to imitate George Carlin, like, I'm a splendid red engine. Yeah. So I'll let you go clean your bleeding ears now. What was my favorite and least favorite Jack in the Pack episodes? My favorite has always been the one, as I said before, Ned's probably my favorite character. And I've always loved the one where he like accidentally demolishes a building. That is just such a fun idea. And he's always like, I get to knock buildings down. And Thomas is like, oh man, that was classic. Yeah, so I forget what the name was. Um Honestly, I can't really it's been a long time since I've seen most of the Pack episodes, so I can't really remember any bad ones. Um, I guess what there was one where like Jack ran over something and Ned got blamed for it, and I don't think it was a bad episode, but oh yeah, Thomas's trusty friend. Oh yeah, that was the name of the episode. I know there was a DVD called that, but yeah, the one where Jack ran over something and I forget what it was called. Jack owns up, maybe. But someone's at, have I been in the If I've been in the cab of a steam engine, oh yeah, many times. I mean, museums, in real life, real life steam engine. I've actually been in the cab of one. It was a some train ride. It was from I forget where it was from, but it went to Scarborough, and I may have posted pictures of this on Twitter, but yeah, it was just basically like a steam heritage run from I think it was York to Scarborough. And when I was at the station, they were letting people stand in the cab for photos. I've never been in a moving steam engine, but yeah, I mean, I've been to countless I've been in the Mallard's cab. I've been in, I believe, Duchess of Hamilton's cab quite a lot. Um, I could bring a character from All Engines Go into the original series. I'll be honest, I have not seen a single episode of All Engines Go, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll probably get around to eventually. And it's not that I don't want to. It's just more of the I just been so busy. I just my mind hasn't really been on it. Someone keeps asking, do you think Donald and Douglas were to appear as main characters in season 5? Um, that I don't know. I would assume not. Um, yeah, they had a song, Donald's Duck, the song, so I'm assuming they just used that as a Donald or Douglas appearance. You know, if they had appeared, uh, I've wondered sometimes I've wondered if Alec Baldwin would have given him like something along the lines of what he gave Salty or yeah, I mean, I know Salty's Irish, but I would assume if he did try, it would be something like that. I've never seen Alec Baldwin do a Scottish accent anywhere, so honestly, I don't know. Now then, whoa, sorry, I'm just. Someone's asking, what is my favorite operator of UK railways? Was it or so ECM? First off, I have to ask. So, how does British Railways operate these days? I know there's National Rail, but I always get confused because it seems like one train route it'll have one name for about 5 or so years, like GNR or something, and then it'll change to like Virgin Trains, and then it'll change to like LNER. So I have to say I really liked the when the service actually ran LNER, the modern LNER, which goes to like London to Scotland. Or yeah, I mean those trains were quite nice. The Azumas, I think, is what they call them. I've also been on Avanti West Coast a few times. That was pretty good. What does ECML stand for? I'm just asking. So, oh, East Coast Main Line. Um, so if I had to name all the British trains I've been on, and again, this is kind of complicated because a lot of them are technically the same ones, but with new names. So, LNER. I've been on Avanti. I've been on went on Virgin Trains, which that was yeah, that was a few years ago. I've been on East Midlands trains. I think that's more of a commuter. I've been on Northern trains. Those were actually really new. I was quite. I mean, yeah, it was just a commuter, but those were really new trains. I was quite impressed. What else? Oh, Transport for Wales, which when that actually runs, I think it's very convenient because it goes to very rural areas that otherwise, wouldn't. it'd be really hard to get to by like road. But one of my experience, they just seem to always be canceled. Just issues like that. Like, I mean, I feel like my view on British trains was tarnished last year when they had like all those staffing shortages and cancellations. And one LNER train I was going on, there was like canceled due to signal cable theft. And so what happened was they canceled all trains from King's Cross, and they're just like, okay, just go on the next train. Well, everyone tries to shove on the next train like 30 minutes before it's scheduled to depart. It's full. And so they just throw out everyone's seat number. So when you finally do get on a train, they're like stuffed full. It's seriously a safety hazard. Just all these people were having to sit on the toilet. Like I was standing in the halls. Eventually, I sat basically leaning on the on the exit. But again, I don't know how train uh, operations work. But if you're gonna have all these canceled trains, the least you could do is just add a few more coaches. Sorry, the phone's ringing.
Call from
I'm gonna try restarting it.
Call from Spam Mountain.
Is there any way to pause the stream? Anyway. Five Nights at Freddy 3. I've never played Five Nights at Freddy. I always get asked that. That's the thing with all the creepy animatronics. Okay, I'll just mute my mic next time. Someone's asking how much of the show past season 7 is canon. Is canon to TEOS. Oh, sorry. First of all, I finished my question. So I mean, my view on UK railways. Well, you have to understand, I live in America, so any railway other country I go to, especially in Europe, the railways are going to be 10 times more better than what you'd see in America. Like we have Amtrak, which unless you live like on the East Coast, like New York, Boston, DC, it's just a joke. Like I took one from Chicago to Milwaukee, which was really nice, but yeah, other than that, I mean, I can understand, American trains. Like obviously, America's so big. We don't need a high-speed train from like Los Angeles to New York. I mean, that's larger than the size of Europe. But what I think, they're building a California high-speed rail. I feel like I'm one of the few people who is, and honestly, again, I'm not an economist, but I just don't give a damn about the cost. Just get the darn thing finished, and no one will be complaining. Because right now, to get from San Francisco to LA, which is quite a popular route, you can take Amtrak, but it takes like 10 hours, and it's on very windy rails on the coast. Like, even if the train went like 80 miles per hour and took like, oh, I don't know, 5, 6 hours, I would be definitely down for that. But I'm not going to take a sleeper train from, down to Los Angeles when you can fly like a Southwest Airlines flight for less than $100 round trip. Like, yeah, that's me ranting gone. Anyway, so what was I? Yeah, oh yeah. Is post season 7 of the show canon to TOS? Yeah, generally yes. For me, it would be more of a pick and choose, but I think until you get up to like the CGI era with like, obviously Hero wasn't the first engine on Sodor. I know in the Great Discovery there was some newspaper article that said 1955, but I don't count that. I mean, there were engines built after that date that are present. So, but yeah, generally speaking, unless I haven't really delved much into that sort of timeline after season 7. So, but generally speaking, yeah, you can expect it to be canon, and if not, I'll make a statement on that. Is Misty Island canon? Yeah, I actually haven't thought about that really. I'm gonna lean towards no, or at least it would be something like, yes, Misty Island exists, but the logging locos are actually operated by people. So yeah, I'm still not sure about that. Someone's asking Henry's tunnel originally one bore and they made another one when he was bricked up? I don't really know. I don't know the history behind that. If that's the case, that is just one of the biggest wastes of money, to just leave an engine in a tunnel and then build a completely new one. In my canon is always kind of like not completely the US version, but he was just shut up in the tunnel for like, oh wow, a week or something, just as like a punishment for being an ass. And they just built the wall for, yeah, I mean, not that they bricked him up because he wanted to conquer his fear of the rain. I thought that was stupid, but with all these this controversy, these articles about, oh, this is the most horrifying Thomas episode. I'm starting to wonder, maybe the reason you didn't see it much on American videos was for that reason, because it was only on one VHS. I believe it was the first one, Thomas Gets Tricked. But yeah, I never saw it as they were leaving him there forever. It was more of just like kind of like you'll stay here until you're ready to behave. So I'd say kind of a mix between the U.S. and the original version. Anyway, let me see. Oh Christ, my battery's running low. A lot of people theorize that 87546 is a B-17. Um, yeah, I mean that's definitely possible. I haven't given much thought to it. When I wrote NWR Origins, that was back when. So a lot of the stuff was mainly based on like what information was available at the time. And in fact, that's one reason why a lot of the stories they take place like the year before the Railway Series book was published rather than whatever year they actually did. And that's because I started writing it. And then later on, you'd see all these conflicting info, especially with James. So my universe is always Three Railway Engines takes place in, oh, what was it, 1924, and then everything else just takes place either the year or the year before it was written. What was my favorite animated movie? Um, I'd probably say something like, I think I've always liked Cars, I suppose. Um, Wallace and Gromit is also or at least the shorts. Yeah, I love the movie too, but I think I like the shorts better. Chicken Run, and stop motion's always been my thing. Someone's asking what's my favorite American locomotive. Honestly, I don't know much about American trains, so I'd probably say something like Big Boy. That massive engine with the double bogies. I'd probably have to say something like that because I just don't know much about American locomotives. Um, my favorite British ones, well, obviously the Mallard LNERA 4. That's always been my favorite. Sorry, someone's asking if I'm going to the Audrey extravaganza. Not this year. I want to go. Maybe I'll go next year if I can. It's just, I am going to Europe though. It's just as far as things worked out. I would be coming back before, the event started. But yeah, I really want to go one. Is it every year, the Audrey extravaganza? Um, but I have been to, that museum at the Tallyclin Railway where it showed all this stuff. Um, Sorry, I'm getting quite tired. I'm just Have I seen Rango? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I thought that was it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I thought it was one of those very weird I thought it was an interesting idea, just these live action, realistic style animals in like a mini western. And I always keep forgetting Johnny Depp was in it. Cuz you always Johnny Depp, I always think keep forgetting he's not British because it seems like every role he's in, aside from that and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he's always got that, Jack Sparrow, oh, Captain, blah, 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 blah. Or, I'm the Mad Hatter. If someone's asking, have I seen the I have Mario movie? I haven't yet. Yeah, I'll have to check it out sometime. Alright. Okay, I'm just gonna probably do a few more before I have I seen the music for the video for Sledgehammer? I've seen clips of it. Yeah, that was one of Aardman's first. Yeah, I believe it was one of Aardman's first. Who did that music video? Was it Phil Collins Sorry, I probably got that wrong. Anyway, I'm sorry, Peter Gabriel. Oh yeah, both Genesis. So that's why I was thinking. I haven't seen Trampy movie. Someone's asking. Okay, so a few more. I'll just I was hoping to get this Diesel 10 thing out by today, but it's taking longer than expected. Just plot wise and all that. Bottom line, I hope to get it out either this month or in July. So expect it either June or July. Um, I'm going on vacation in a few weeks in Europe, so but yeah, it should be out either this month or next month. That's all I can really say. I just One reason I did this stream was to just celebrate 10 years, have something up. Um, but yeah, also as I said before, I'll probably upload it alongside this other I'll probably work on it at the same time of this other quote episode I'm doing with Murdoch. So and again, it's not going to be like a full season. It's just going to be like individual stories that are canon. Again, I don't know what I'm going to call them yet, but yeah, I'm working on those right now. Right, so I'll answer. My battery's about to die, but I'll try to answer as many questions as I can left. All right. What are my thoughts on Dudley? Again, that Vagrant engine. I still have to see those videos. I keep meaning to. I, I'll remind myself to do that because it looks pretty interesting. What is my thoughts on Tugs? Again, I've never seen full episodes of Tugs. It seems fine. I think a lot of people told me it's a confusing concept, but I really have to like look at some episodes to really understand. What is my opinion on the LMS Black 5? Well, I mean that's Henry's model, so yeah, I guess I like it. I've seen a lot of them in real. I have a model of them, or at least two HO scale models. Um, uh, Eleanor. So what is the A2? Someone's asking, would I include the A2? Hold on, let me just look it up. Oh, it's just like a. I don't have any. Yeah, it just looks like it seems like a predecessor to Gordon. Oh, is that the class that Tornado is? Peppercorn. Huh. Have I seen the Marklin engine from All? Yes, that was the one where it had like the what do you call it? The smoke box turning around with the eye, wasn't it? I thought that was really clever. And I've been seeing a lot of these videos recently. Someone's edited like that scene from Thomas's train where it's like Thomas looked back and literally he looks back by like the smoke box door opening. um What do I think of Keeper of Beans or Keeper of Porridge? Honestly, I think he's probably one of my favorite YouTube poopers, just because he had a brilliant mix of just crazy, zany WTF randomness, but also, like actually. So oftentimes YTPs can fall in the category of if you just replace every other word with a swear word, that gets old really fast. Some of the early WTL networks were like that, but again, that was just when they were starting, so no like criticism on that. But or you can just have those which are nothing but playing around with effects, adding flashing lights, sudden ear burning sounds. Every Keeper of Beans was just so funny. The randomness of yeah, I'm just if you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. It's really hard to describe it. It's just so funny. Like Percy sighed. He now realizes why everyone calls him retarded. Just all these crazy edits. Have I seen any Norwegian Steam locos? I'm trying to remember if it was. I've been on Norwegian trains. Um, I've definitely seen I don't think I've seen a full steam in person, a Norwegian steam locomotive, but I've definitely seen like old electric trams. There was some museum I went to near Bergen, I think. Keith, do I know who Kiefer Adams is? Uh, no, I've actually never heard. Is that a? He looks familiar. Um, I'd have to look him up. Oh, someone lives in Bergen. Oh yeah, I actually went there a few years ago. I took a train from. It was like this scenic package where you took a train from Oslo and then you transfer it onto the scenic railway that went through all these waterfalls, and you ended up in some fjord village. It was like you also took boats and eventually you just ended up in Bergen. Yeah, I really like Bergen. Um, any favorite engines from Germany? I honestly don't know much about German steam trains, but I mean, wasn't like the second fastest locomotive from Germany? Those ones that look like, oh, what do you call them? Popsicles, or like the streamlined casing. I always love those. Uh, wasn't the flying hamburger that was a diesel, wasn't it? Someone's asking. What are my thoughts on Richard, the character? I think I answered this in another video. Yeah, I think he's interesting. I really like it. It was just, I mean, not so much inspiration, but just kind of, well, yeah, I guess inspiration. Some of his backstory was the inspiration for Oliver to the rescue, and I really like Henry rescuing him. Obviously, not like in a dark way, but just yeah, I really like that part. Yeah, I think he's a fine. Well, here's an interesting one. What do you mostly dislike on Thomas fan remakes and stories? Uh, I don't really have any pet peeves on that. Honestly, yeah, I don't really have any. To me, what really matters is stuff like the quality, as far like if it's being filmed with like a 1995 video camera and just some guy throwing his trains around. Yeah, I'm not gonna like that as much as something like Enterprising Engine 93. Um, as far as plot points, no, I don't really have any. Sometimes I feel like trying to be ultra realistic to like the 150th percent, that can get really boring. But yeah, other than that, yeah, no, I don't really have any like pet peeves with fan stories. Someone's asking what is the LNAR Doncaster? I'm guessing that's just Doncaster is the city where the Doncaster locomotive works are. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I just looked it up. Yeah, let Gordon's Doncaster drawn. It just means he was built in Doncaster. What are my thoughts on Neville? Neville, actually, funny enough, was the last wooden railway character I got as a child. Well, originally as a child. In 2007, I got Old Slow Coach kind of as like a joke from my mom because around that time had grown out of Thomas initially, but I think Neville had potential. They just didn't use him at all. Yeah, I think he was all right. The design I really liked. I'll put it that way, and I feel, but again, I feel like he just turned into the other, like, that era where a character would appear for like one or two episodes, then never again. But he's not as bad as like Molly or Billy or those other characters who honestly, what happened to Billy? I mean, and Dennis too. Dennis I thought had potential, but see, with all these characters that only appear once, I mean, yeah, I can understand for merchandise, but what I'm trying to figure out is they've made they've spent money making these models. Surely you can utilize. You want to put those to good use. Like if they couldn't make Bertram back in the day, and I know I'm sure Hit had bigger budget than Britt Alcroft's company, but yeah, if they couldn't make Bertram, they had to cannibalize Duke. Surely they can at least put these new engines in the background. Like this is weird. Honestly, it's weird. I love Billy's design. I love orange. I feel like okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to go. My battery's got like 5% left. I'm so sorry, but anyway, thank you so much for 10 years. It's about to die. I'll try to post. I'll post a comment finishing this up, but thank you so much. Oh yes, I am a very bossy YouTuber. Someone was making a joke. Stop telling your opinions, T1E2H3. You're a very bossy YouTuber. Okay, yeah, my computer's about to die. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for 10 years. Engines of Sodor, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.